What if your brain could do what computers can't? What if you could see numbers, not as digits, but as shapes, colors, and landscapes? This isn't fiction. It's the real story of a man whose mind rewrote the boundaries of human intelligence. His name is Daniel Tammet, the boy who could see numbers.
I'm seeing things in my head like little sparks firing off, and it's not until the very last moment that those sparks tell me what on earth they mean. I'm not seeing them, it's strange. I'm seeing pictures, shapes and patterns. Almost like a square, like the texture of water, drops, ripples almost, like something reflective. It's something you can look through, almost metallic, like bubbles, like a half cloud, a bit like a flash.
Daniel was born in East London in 1979, an ordinary boy, until his mind began showing extraordinary signs. By age 4, while most kids were learning the alphabet, Daniel was calculating, counting endlessly, instinctively. His parents were baffled. Teachers couldn't explain it. And soon, Daniel realized he didn't just memorize numbers, he could feel them. To him, every number had a color, texture, even emotion. 5 was loud. 9 was dark. 47 shimmered like falling rain. It was as if the universe itself spoke to him in code.
I experience numbers in a very visual way, using colors, texture, shape and form. Sequences of numbers form landscapes in my mind. One, for example, would be very bright and shiny number. It's almost like somebody flashing a light in my face. Number 2 is kind of like a movement, right to left, kind of like a drifting motion. 5 is like the clap of thunder or the sound of a wave against the rock. 6 is very small. It's actually the number I find hardest to experience in any sort of meaningful visual way, so it's often the absence of anything. It's like a hole or a chasm or like a black hole. Number 9 is the biggest number. It's very tall. It can be intimidating.
What Daniel didn't know was that his brain was wired differently. He was one of the rarest cases of Savant syndrome, a condition where a person, often with developmental differences, possesses a seemingly superhuman skill. But Daniel's gift went far beyond numbers. He could learn entire languages in days, calculate impossible equations in seconds, and recall the exact sequence of 22,514 digits of pi flawlessly. Yet, genius often comes with a cost. As a child, Daniel struggled to fit in. Sounds were too loud. Crowds felt overwhelming. So he retreated inward, into a world of quiet brilliance, where numbers became his closest friends. In August 2002, scientists invited Daniel to take part in a series of experiments. They wanted to understand how his brain could calculate so fast without using pen, paper, or calculator. When they asked him to divide 13 by 97, the numbers began flowing effortlessly. 0.1340206. His voice was calm, steady, and correct every single time. The scientists' calculators stopped, but Daniel kept going. Digit after digit, perfectly aligned. It was as if his mind was a living computer, only faster. For Daniel, numbers weren't just symbols, they were alive. He described them as having shapes, colors, and even personalities. The number 11, he said, felt friendly. The number 6 was small and quiet. To most people, math is logic. To Daniel, it was art. He once said, "When I think of numbers, I see landscapes. Every number is a different place." Imagine seeing the world not in words or sounds, but in patterns of color and movement. That's how Daniel lives, inside a world painted in mathematics. In 2004, Daniel set out to do something incredible. To recite the mathematical constant pi, not for a few digits, but for hours. Without a single mistake. He spoke for over 5 hours, reciting 22,514 digits from memory. And he did it flawlessly. When he finally stopped, the audience erupted. Scientists called it one of the most astonishing mental feats ever recorded. But for Daniel, it wasn't about breaking records, it was about expressing beauty.
The ambition is to remember pi to 22,500 decimal places and to recite it in a live environment with invigilators who will be checking and making sure, obviously, that the recitation is correct from start to finish.
What makes Daniel's mind so unique isn't just his memory, it's how he feels information. When he thinks of numbers, he doesn't see formulas, he experiences sensations. Scientists scanning his brain discovered that regions responsible for emotion and imagery light up together. In other words, his brain turns mathematics into feeling. It's as though logic and art coexist perfectly within him, a rare harmony between emotion and intellect. To this day, scientists still can't fully explain Daniel's mind. Some believe his brain reprogrammed itself after childhood seizures. Others think he was born with a neural pathway so rare, it gives him direct access to patterns most of us can't see. But Daniel sees it differently. He says, "I don't think of myself as a genius. I think I just see things in a more beautiful way." And maybe that's the real mystery. That the limits of intelligence aren't in how much we know, but in how deeply we feel it.
What I do, I don't think it's supernatural, I don't think it's something that can't be explained. Who knows, there may be abilities here that everyone can perhaps tap into in some way.
Today, Daniel Tammet is an author, linguist, and speaker, sharing his insights with the world. He's fluent in over 10 languages, including one he created himself. His story reminds us that genius doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes, brilliance hides in silence, and understanding comes from a different kind of vision. The boy who saw numbers grew into a man who showed us that the human mind, no matter how strange, is capable of extraordinary beauty. What do you think? Is Daniel Tammet proof that the mind still holds mysteries we can't explain? Tell me in the comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because we have more real stories of extraordinary minds coming your way.